Okay. So, speaking of black holes, dual corpuscular time shared systems, dual corpuscular time setters, reality making, particle reunitizing, that's what they do. And they create space-time and superposition. I think all the testing already shows enough to prove what I'm proposing, but it might be possible to examine certain aspects of particles that we could not have done before. Light is local but is partially out of phase when it is in the wave form. Gravity is not a force, and it follows the curvature of space, and if light changes its diameter, it is not then here, and a black hole forms or has already formed. Light that goes into a black hole, not our black hole but another one in our space, becomes out of phase with this time. It comes out of phase with our space and is reunitized. The black hole shares all space in it, but each particle is from its own point of view alone in the middle of it. These frames lay on top of each other, and the light cannot be on more than one frame, or can be on more than one frame, periodic traveling from one to the other in a trajectory. Like if you have a big the gravity well. Again, this isn't literal; it's conceptual. You have a long gravity well, and you have a trajectory that's traveling, through these different points. Like it's around an attractor. This is how it can take two paths and still be on one path from its own point of view, and then snaps into being a photon depending on the matchup of one or the other. And by this we know that light in the v-space has a 50% chance of appearing on one or the other, which tells us its orbit. Into 50% chance on the v-space versus p-space. V-space is virtual space and p-space is potential particle space, which is basically v-space would be superposition and the other end of the superposition where we can't get a grasp, it's out of phase, and then here, which is space-time. And a 50% the other frame. So light can travel to different frames of reference seemingly instantly, but if you pull back the veil, it's traveling at light speed within its own corpuscular time. It travels within two frames of reference. It will be either on one or the other, and when the wave function collapses, that it'll be on one or the other, alternating, or even more. Both pages are different points in our reality. From this we see space is bending around every particle, and every particle is in the center of space. It is the extreme of relativity. Lucian Hardy said, "Someone who hasn't even entered physics yet could possibly solve quantum gravity." Drink here. Okay. The V realm goes faster than the P realm. V realm being virtual and P realm being potential. V realm being superposition and P realm being space-time. And still fit together. So, question: how do they fit together, the two times? And don't really need to know that, because you know it does happen because we can measure it. So that's convenient. But let's see. I might say it has something to do with the Higgs field, I would guess. Yeah, they operate in different corpuscular times, already proven in many ways. Quantum theory is all about probabilities. So you can actually have this set right. Yep. Quantum theory is all about probabilities. These probabilities are orbits perpendicular to our visible space. A cooperation between them forms a particle here, or coincidence. Like, yeah. I go into this deeper in a better way later. All particles are falling to the center of the black hole. Each particle is, and two particles join forces falling to the center of all all points in space are the center of space, because space is one particle that is in the middle and divided up into Planck lengths. Each Planck length is also in the middle, and so every particle that's in the gravity well, including the space particle, is divided up into these little sizes. A single manifestation and all parts are in its center from each frame in our space gives particles their own reference from each other. Is one closer to the edge of space? No. There is no edge of space, only points of view. In our space, each particle has a mass that was pulled and is being pulled to the center of the singularity. The weak force is an entangling of gravities. Both frames of reference are combining and an accumulated gravity as a result. I don't know about some of that, but anyway, which is supplied by the singularity that likely originates in someone else's space. The manifestation of our realm is the white hole of the black hole. The world is real. A particle exists without an observer, and I can explain a quantum probability. Okay. Next page. And the particle manifestation around the atom's nucleus is due to collision. Possibilities are intersecting V particles with P particles. And what's that one? Let's see. Because of a massive compression inside the black hole, the particle is out of reach of any other particle. This is why they are separated. For conceptualized thinking, I call these frames of reference, because the distance is out of frame of reference for light. Max distances for all particle purposes, these particles are completely alone. Particle number 1, particle number 2, totally, from one point of view, completely alone. From another point of view, they're somewhere, one particle could see the other one at a certain distance. The other particle would think it was in the middle. The other one was in the middle. This one's in the middle. And they see each other from their own relativistic point of views. It's an extended form of relativity. Let's see. When one is up, the other is down. If they're entangled, and this is describing something we know is but can't see it. As far as apart they can be in this realm, they share entanglement in V realm. When one is spinning up, the other is spinning down. You could think of it like opposite orbits timed ever so precisely. Think of the black hole as a pressure and the centripetal force of the spinning particle as a counterbalance that then creates an equilibrium. Stacked particles in a black hole space are all in the center. In other words, down that gravity well, they're not really like one after the other, they're just right on top of each other. But for conceptual reasons, that's a gravity well. And from its own point of view, it's alone. And then from another point of view, it's sharing that same space with the other particles. Space, all remaining space is part of the white hole. Not described like a white hole with a long, gravity well that spews out somewhere, but it is kind of but differently. It's like the gravity well in the black hole. Okay, that's my cue to stop. That's on 58 and a half ish. All right.